Today I want to make a travel journal to take with me on an upcoming trip. And I've done these before, and I shared one of these in a video form where I showed you the completed journal and the things that went into it. I'm going to do this one where I take through the whole process. I will share a link to this so that you can see how this journal was put together. I did not use travel papers for this. I did use some travel-oriented stamps, but this is an example of one that you can use just all kinds of different things with. So you can take a look at that one if you like. This is one that I did last summer for a mountain-oriented vacation that we did, and I used the Campfire collection from October Afternoon primarily, and a few other things. And I did a video on it, but I never did air the video. So I'm going to show you some of that footage now and explain kind of what went into this one, and then we'll jump into the next one.
So on the outside cover, I used this paper with these cute little bears and other animals because we had kids with us. I thought that looked really good. And then for the front cover, I used some stickers and things from that collection and other collections to decorate it. On the inside, I used a lot of ledger paper, some of which I stamped so I'd have plenty of places to write. An envelope to hold tickets, and I put a little ticket embellishment on that as well. One of the things I like about these albums is I get to use papers like this printed paper that are kind of difficult to work with because they're a good place to eventually put in the journaling cards. I stamped some ledger paper and then used one pre-printed journaling card so I could carry these with me and make some notes when we were out and about, and then bring them back in the evening and tuck them into the pockets or add them to the journal with washi tape. And I've got a couple of different pockets here.
The supplies that I'm going to use this time, I'm primarily going to be working with the Travel Girl collection from October Afternoon, and I have their 8x8 paper pad. I've already decided this paper is going to be my outside cover for the book. It has the little girl, and she's going along. She has her dog with her, and I'm not traveling with a dog, but I'm traveling with lots of other things. So there are a lot of great papers in this collection, that maps and cameras, and there's some ledger paper which will be important to me as I go through. So a lot of things that I can work with out of this. I also have I have a 6x6 travel-oriented pad from My Mind's Eye. And I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to use. This is designed a little more for air and overseas travel, and so there may be something in there, I don't know. I definitely want to use a lot of ledger paper, as you've seen in the other examples. I like to have places where I can do some writing, and I look for ledger paper that has either a color that works with my scheme on the back or is just blank on the back, and all of these fit that bill nicely. So these are from different companies, but they work out well. I just go to my scrap drawer for those. As you saw in the video, sometimes I tuck envelopes in or I make some kind of a pocket or something for receipts. So these are some pre-made envelopes that are possible choices. And I have a number of stamps that I might use, including that travel set that I've used before. Now I also bought with this particular collection from October Afternoon some of the accessories. I have the journaling cards, and I bought those specifically with this project in mind because some of these, like memories and discoveries, I think would be a really good one to put in there. And these are the kinds of things that I may cut up and put in pockets and then fill them out later, or I may just go ahead and add them to the album. I haven't decided. And I have stickers, lots of different kinds of stickers, including the border stickers. So those are my products so far. So let's get started assembling this it's kind of like a little mini album, but this little travel journal.
So I selected this paper with the carve for the outside cover, and I've also pulled out a few journaling cards that I know I want to put in pockets inside of my travel journal. And I have some ledger paper there that I'm going to make into a journaling card, and some ledger paper to go as pages. So I'm going to start by scoring this 8x8 sheet. This will be the cover for the journal, and I'm just going to score it at 4 inches and fold. And then everything will fit inside of that. This ledger paper happens to be a piece that I've cut to 8 inches, but I'm going to arrange it so that it's hanging out a little bit. I think it's kind of fun to make them where they're not exactly in the middle that there's some hanging out of the edge. I may have a little bit too much there, but I can trim that off. There'll still be plenty of writing space. I have another piece of ledger paper, a little scrap piece, that I'm just trying to decide where I want to put it and where I want to score it at. And I end up scoring it along one of the vertical lines, and I can tuck that in, and it's a nice blue color on the other side that matches. And then picking out some papers here that I want to use in either in full sheets or partial sheets. I know I want to use this ledger paper, but the back side of it is definitely not colors that go well. So I trim it down, and I've just left a tiny little flap there to stitch in, and this one side needs to be covered. I'm measuring it, and I've cut a piece of camera paper that I like from the collection to cover over the top, and I thought this would be a good place to put a pocket. So the way of doing the pocket is to put an envelope in the middle. That's just a different way of doing a pocket for me. It'll take a little bit less adhesive, or a little bit less strong adhesive, to hold everything in place, since the envelope will be there to serve as the pocket. And I need to trim out part of the camera paper so it can get things in and out of the envelope. This is the Creative Memories cutting system, which I think is probably going away now, but I still have it and love it. I may have to find a replacement for it. And again, just some basic tape runner to hold that in place, and then I can still tuck everything that I need to down in the pockets. That'll go in place into the journal. And deciding where things go. And I like how this some of that gray paper is hanging out the edge. Whatever you put in the middle kind of hangs out from the center just a little bit. I'm selecting a few tabbed stickers that I know I'm going to put on the edges. I don't want to forget to do those. I end up doing them at the very, very end. And you'll see those in the final piece. All right, I've added a few more pieces of paper, and I rounded the corners of that longest piece. I trimmed it down and rounded the corners. And I did go ahead and sew a pocket to one piece. If you're going to do any sewing to individual pieces, you need to do it before you put it together. I have a piece there that's kind of dark. It's going to be hard to write on, so I'm going to add a piece of journaling paper. This is from another collection on this, and I thought I'd do a little stamping with it. This is a set of stamps from Basic Gray, an old last summer set, I think. And they say eat, drink, and relax. So I'm just going to stamp them in individual colors that match the paper collection. My first stamp there did not come out so good, so I decided to stamp another one, and I'll just trim off that. It didn't need to be that wide anyway, so I'll just trim off the area where I stamped the first one. I'm getting them all in place. And since these look like part of a signpost, I thought it would be cute to draw in a little signpost. And since this is a grid paper, it's really easy to draw a nice straight line to connect each of them. Color that in. Allowed me to get a little bit of the green color there on the bottom. So then I'll trim that down and round the corners and add a little washi tape, and that'll cover that piece of paper. I have another piece here that would be hard to write on because it's a dark color. I'm going to use two of the journaling cards. One of them has some things up at the top, like Paris, New York, London, or whatever, that weren't applicable to my trip, so I can cover that part with the Smile journaling card. This might be a good place to write down some of the things that I want to take photos of on the trip. And then I have a little bit more of that ledger paper that I may cover some of the map print, but again, because again, that's not something that'd be easy to write on. And here's one of those journaling cards that I want to do some stamping on top of. And these are a set of travel stamps from Fiskars, and they just have some things like, you know, place, where, when, that kind of thing that I can fill in. Just some prompts. That's really all I'm adding to those cards. And I'm going to do one more on just some plain cardstock that I'll trim out and put on some of the more darkly printed papers in the travel journal. And I stamped a little dog there because of where I'm going. There's going to be a little dog that I don't want to forget to write up about. and I'm about ready to sew. So what I do is put everything together, line up all of my score lines in the middle, and I'm using binder clips to hold the papers together, since I really don't want to put any adhesive on here. And the binder clips will keep this together, so when I go to the machine, then I can just sew right down the middle. And here we are at the sewing machine, and I've got it set to a wide stitch, and I have the same color thread in the bobbin as on the top, since you will see both sides of the thread. Just stitching right down the middle. I did forget to back stitch at the start, so I just tied that off up there, and I'm going to do some back stitching down here at the bottom. I don't always back stitch. It kind of depends on what I'm doing with paper, but in this case I definitely want it to hold well, and I don't mind that that back stitching might show a little bit. And you can see here where everything is tucked in nicely. There's the stitching in the very center, and then that little flap of that one piece that had a very narrow edge to it is still in there. And one thing I did do after I put it together was punch one of the edges with a border punch. It's not as easy as if I'd done it before, but it still works. To decorate the front cover, I have some cardstock stickers and some washi tapes, and I'm just selecting some of these stickers. If you're used to the older October Afternoon stickers, they were very, very sticky. When you put them down, they just stuck. These are a little bit thicker, and you can move them a little bit if you don't press them too hard. I'm adding some rows of washi tape first to kind of create the base for where I'm going to put the stickers. And just pick the colors that went with the collection. There's one that has arrival and departure, and even though that one is an airplane and I'm not going to be traveling by air, I thought that the wording on there was really appropriate, and I have a camera sticker. All this is bothering me a little bit because the stickers seem to be lost on the front cover. I think they need something behind them, and I look at the journaling cards, and what I end up using is a piece of paper from the collection, and then using some cardstock also to kind of give all that a grounding. And then I'm going to add a little bit of washi tape at the top to connect everything together. And I end up moving this green washi tape up just a little bit. And what I'll do then is go over this with some stitching so that everything is held down really good. I'm checking my stickers to see if there's anything else I want to use. And then
So here's our finished little book. For the front cover, I added the stickers and a few buttons. I'm going to use a binder clip to hold it closed. So let's look at the inside. We have some pages for notes, pockets, journaling card pages, more ledger paper glued on, another pocket, a couple of pages, a little bit of stamping there, some more stamping here, and that's our little booklet. And I have these cards that I can carry with me, and I can tuck into my pocket when I'm done. This one I'll probably need to, like tape on, because I'll have some washi tapes and all that I can add that with later. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope you'll check out my blog for more information.